there.
Hi, welcome back to Curious Collection. I'm Will.
I'm Cinnamon.
So last time we talked, we were going to try to do a cross-listing platform utilized to basically, let's start at the beginning. eBay sales are flat year over year.
Mm-hmm.
Our personal goal is to see 20% growth in
for the
2024.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that means that we're going to continue to pump out all those listings that we've been doing on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about how we've been utilizing Whatnot as well, to grow our business.
And that's working beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
So we are hearing lots of chatter about, cross-listing platforms, and that's just the next step in the reselling business because, if eBay is going to be flat or not have the increases that we want, how do we take our business and make that growth happen? So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to find that 20% in another venue.
Right. Listing 20% more has not generated the growth on eBay. Mm-hmm. Our eBay sales are still flat, even though we're growing our store.
Right. So it's not a linear thing. So we have to try to find that elsewhere. So that's what we're trying to do. And so hearing all of the chatter about the different, cross-listing platforms, that's what we were going to try to do.
Right. So
we had expectations that were perhaps unrealistic. My thought process was that these cross-listing platforms, so we played around with Bonanza like a year or so ago.
So if you're unfamiliar with the Bonanza sales platform, it operates much like Mercari, Posh, eBay, with the caveat that you can actually sign up for an account for free, import your entire store with all of your listings to Bonanza.
Mm-hmm.
It will literally pull all of them out of eBay and drop them directly into Bonanza, and you're up and operational, ready to sell on that platform with as big or small as your store is within a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, it is super fast. It just yanks all your listings, drops them in perfectly. I never seen any problems with item specifics or descriptions.
You didn't have to
Nothing
edit
was lost.
The individual listings. It just imported and dumped.
Right.
Period.
So that was kind of our naive expectation when we signed up for Treecat.
Yes.
So Treecat is not a marketplace, though. It is a cross-listing platform. So I downloaded the software. So it's a special software. It's an agent on your browser. So I downloaded that. I installed it. It took me 15 to 20 minutes to get it set up. It was not that bad.
I will say that there are a couple of caveats that I just want you guys to know. Let me just throw this out there real quick. Our opinion is specific to our store. So your store could be very, very different. So I am not in any way, shape, or form putting down this platform or anything like that. I am telling you our real life experience, which includes our
lack of experience.
Right. So and again, it's very specific to our store. So I just want you guys to know, I'm not trying to say that this wouldn't work for you. If it does, that's awesome. And that's super cool. This is our experience with it. So please don't hate us.
Right. So as our regular followers know, and if you're not a regular follower, welcome. Mm-hmm. And, we're going to teach you about what our business is, and it's kind of different. And all eBay stores are kind of different.
Right. So, and that's really important because we talk a lot about the fact that as a small business owner, you got to figure this stuff out. Mm-hmm. And this is an experience that we had with trying to figure something out. I do not know Poshmark. I don't know Mercari. So I had to kind of learn, and I'm still really, really, really learning these systems. I don't know these systems.
Right.
I don't understand the parties. I don't like, that's so not my jam. So I'm still learning. I'm just a baby in this department.
Well, and you're still learning on eBay to some extent.
Yeah, I've been doing this a year and a half. So it is still a new experience. So I just want you to know that I'm not trying to like dump on anything. Okay.
So our store has currently 11,761 items.
So that is going to be very different than somebody who has 200 items in their store. Another thing that was very specific to us that I guess I didn't really think about was the fact that trying to use this program, it's going to try to download 12,000 items. Did I want 12,000 items cross-listed to Poshmark and Mercari? No, I only wanted my jewelry. Can you categorize them? No, you have to specifically.
It will pull everything.
Right, it pulls everything. So then when I want to pick and choose like which items to put onto Posh and Mercari, I went into the eBay software. I was able to categorize the jewelry there. And then I was like, well, you got to start somewhere. So I started with the most expensive stuff first, right? So I categorized it by jewelry, and then I sorted it by price highest first. And then I literally like copied the title from eBay and pasted it into the search function of Treecat, and then found the listing that way. Then I had to go into the listing and then put in all of the platform specific item specifics for that item onto each Mercari and Posh.
Right. So I think for a lot of people that have worked with Crosslisters, they understand that this is a normal thing, but completely unknown to us.
Yeah, I was really expecting it to be more than it was. So I was, and kind of still am, very disappointed in what was
Right,
reality.
Right. So using Treecat allows us to cross-list to 3 different platforms. I know there's other companies out there that will, that have cross-listing tools that go up to 9-10 different platforms. Treecat goes to Posh, Mercari, and eBay, which for us in our jewelry category is exactly where we wanted to be.
Yeah, that's the ones we decided that we didn't want to do Etsy because of the fees that are associated, the listing fee. So it's 15 cents for every listing on Etsy, and then that's renewed every month, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that just seemed like a very high price to pay on a platform that, I mean, and again, how many platforms am I supposed to learn at once? So we're like, okay, well, we'll do Posh, we'll do Mercari.
Right. So I just want to specify, we're very new at listing on these other platforms. Our eBay store has been open for over 4 years. We're very proficient. I'm very proficient at creating listings.
Right. And as far as like
eBay
the jewelry
system
goes, like I know my eBay system, and I know that it takes time to get used to a new system. In 2 weeks, I wasn't proficient in eBay yet either. Like I do understand that. But it didn't give me what I wanted in a cross lister. And again, I'm not saying that it's Treecat's fault. I'm saying that it's my unrealistic expectations of what I wanted it to do for me. If it's just taking the pictures and putting it onto the new site, then I can just do that while I
list. The title and the
right
and the description box. But a lot of the other stuff,
right? All of the little clicky box things, all of the item specifics. What color is it? That you still have to put in. And I also found that like all of the genre specific, so like in Poshmark, you can put cottagecore for the genre or whatever. I can't do that in the Treecat. So I still have to go, if I want those item specifics, which we are very big on item specifics, because I want to make it as easy as possible to find. And so if I want to put in all of those item specifics, I still have to go into the Poshmark system to make that listing as full as it should be. So for me specifically, in the jewelry categories that I was listing in, it is just as easy for me to have 3 tabs open and just do my eBay and then copy and paste it into the other platforms, as it is to do Treecat, because the Treecat was still unfinished at the end of the listing.
By the time the listing was created, it wasn't complete.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, but it does do the ending on the
it does delist, right?
Right.
So when you have an item on any of the 3 platforms, it automatically delists it, so it prevents you from getting a knock against your account, which is huge.
Right.
Which is huge. If you sell on eBay for any amount of time and you have to cancel an order because you don't have it in stock, that's your death. I mean, they give you on our small account, they told us it was 4 per year.
Right.
I mean, 4 per year and you're done. Like, that is so unrealistic if you're talking about 12,000 items that are on 3 different platforms.
Right.
Now, I did have issues now, and I want people to be aware, if you do want to use this Crosslister, once I downloaded the agent and installed it to our Windows-based operating system, they also have it for Mac, it started pulling those listings over from eBay. And because our store is so large, it overwhelmed the API on eBay, and it would only let us do about 3,500 listings a day. The next day I'd come back and it would start up again. And
it did recognize the ones that were already pulled. So that was good. So
I did have to do that 3 days in a row just to import all of the 12,000-ish listings that we have.
Right.
So that is something that if you have a massive store like we do, it is something that you need to be aware of. And then, there's that time sink that goes into getting those items onto those other platforms as well.
Right.
Treecat has some other features that we didn't use and that we don't use. They have the ability to track your purchase cost.
Which we don't really.
We don't utilize that because we use cash-based accounting. We don't use accrual accounting, so that doesn't really matter for us. If you're familiar with that, you'll know what I'm talking about.
You did say that you did like the fact that it did have like one seller hub, right? So you can see all of your selling matrix, where they're coming from and where it's sold on and that type of a thing. And it is kind of on one platform, which is nice. We have the accounting software though. So,
right. For the sales notification, it's nice because I don't have notifications set up on every single platform to notify me on my phone. So to have that opportunity, Treecat's telling me that I have a sale.
Yeah.
So that was good as well. One of the things that they have is the manifest. So you have your pull sheet that you can have for every item. We don't utilize that either. So it's if that's something that you have, if you have a storeroom that you need to go to and you don't have a portable device and you like to print off all your manifests, then you can do that. Again, that's not something we do. Everything that we pull, we use a portable device. We go to a storeroom and just
uses
pull it.
His cell phone and just scrolls through and grabs. And then all of my jewelry is right here. So I just look at my computer and pull. So we don't, again, that's not something that we would utilize, but it is available if that's something that you utilize. Our whole goal of this video is to kind of give you a reality-based assessment of our experience with this Crosslister.
Yeah, I mean, so really that's the challenge, is that I think it does what it's designed to do. I think
Right.
it does what it's designed to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Our expectations of what it was going to do for us were misaligned.
Yes.
And so there is some disappointment there.
There
We
is
were really
really.
hoping that this would be a one-click import, and it
Right, and then it
certainly
would
is
just,
not.
all of those items would be active on the other sites and we could start getting sales right away. You know, right now as it stands, I think I ended up getting about 90 items cross-listed, and all of that wasn't even through the Crosslister because I just gave up. I'm like, this is not what, and you know what? I will say, this is your business. So you do have to look at the things that you've put into something, whatever the process is. And as a small business owner, it's kind of up to us to say whether or not this is working for us. You know, I've worked in corporate world where they start a new process, or they change a system, right? They have a new payroll system. And so now you have to learn this whole new payroll system. And if it sucks, you just have to deal with that because the big wigs up top have made the decision and you just have to deal. As the small business owner, as we're working with this new program, when we recognize it's not working for us, we have to make the decision on whether or not we're going to continue to use it and try to work through the different problems, or just make the decision and say, this is not what we're looking for. We're not going to continue to pour energy into a system that's not working for us.
Right.
And that's hard too.
So unfortunately, like she said, it's not a system that's going to work for us. It's not what we were looking for. The time sink associated with taking 12,000 items, or in this case, you know, again, 3,000 of those 12,000 are postcards. They're not going to get cross-listed onto Posh or Mercari.
But about 3,000 of them is jewelry.
Right.
You know, so about 3,000 are going to get cross-listed.
Right. So part of the problem, and I'm not a computer expert, I don't know about software engineering. Part of the problem is that all the different platforms have different requirements. Title length is different on different platforms. The photograph requirements are different. So on one platform, it's 1-to-1 ratio. eBay allows different ratios and different cropping.
Right.
So all of those pictures, if we had started with 1-to-1 ratio on eBay, then it would have avoided some of the challenges. We're looking at some of these photos and they're not cropping properly as we're trying to import them. So now we got to go back, rephotograph, basically recreate an entire listing on that item. And it just turned into a massive time sink.
It did. And then again, you're sitting there and you're going, is it worth it?
Well, and the is it worth it is directly correlated to the fact that we are new on Mercari and
we
Posh.
are. So if somebody is looking at our Posh store and they're looking to make a purchase and they see, oh, well, they've only got one sale, you know, and I get that. We're not a trusted source right now on those other platforms, you know?
Right. And we've talked about the fact that it's going to take time to build a reputation on those platforms. You know, we've been selling on our second store, our second eBay store, for approximately 9 months. We've got a couple hundred sales, 56 feedback. It's a very small store, and it took us, you know, a year to get 1,000 feedback in our main eBay store. I personally am always kind of nervous when I'm dealing with purchasing from somebody who has less than 100 feedback.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know what kind of experience I'm going to get. I have dealt with some sellers that are scammers. And so, you know, I'm very hesitant, and I can understand why other people would be as well.
Absolutely.
And so at this very moment, you know, the time associated with crossing 3,000 items onto other platforms, I think we're just going to put it on the back burner for now.
I think so.
And hopefully, whether it's changes to the different platforms, and maybe the platforms could align themselves a little better.
So that's one of the things I want to talk about as well, is all of the changes, right? So we're working in eBay every day. right? And there's times when there will be item specifics that pop up that I'm like, we didn't end and sell similar these items. So, but still there's new item specifics that they're telling us that we need to address. So eBay's constantly changing their item specifics. When I was in Treecat, if I tried to make a listing in Treecat and send it to eBay, it wouldn't send. It kept saying there was an error, and then it would clear a bunch of the boxes and I'd have to start over again. And I did that like 4 or 5 times. And I'm like, okay, this is an exercise in futility. Why am I doing this? So because I'm sure that eBay had changed an item specific somewhere. And if those item specifics aren't right, eBay won't accept the listing. So as these things are changing, then I would still have to list the item in eBay in order to get the item specifics correct, and then import it over to Treecat, and then make the changes and edits into the other system. And then like it just wasn't. And then if eBay changes some of their item specifics down the road, I'm still gonna have to,
go back and change them. So we also ran into another thing again. You were a little disappointed that there was no phone number. A lot of online platforms are the same way.
I know that they're going away from customer service.
There's no customer service out there for anybody.
Before we even started this process, I had questions regarding the fact that we didn't want to sell our entire store on those other sites. I wanted to know going in if this system was going to work for us. But again, there's no phone number for customer service on the website. So that wasn't something that yes, I could have sent an email. Did I want to send an email? No, I didn't, because I wanted my questions answered. I didn't want to just send it into the ether. And
you don't know that that's actually the case. Somebody may have responded back to your email.
Right. Absolutely. I'm saying this was a me thing.
You don't trust that people
I wanted
will
to talk to a
your
human.
Email.
And there was no human available for me to talk to. So, and I get it. That's just the way businesses are going nowadays. So again, I'm not saying this as a knock against Treecat. I've heard wonderful things about their customer service. That's awesome. I'm not on a first name basis with them. So I'm just a person, they don't know who I am, and I get that. So I'm just saying that was another thing that I was, a little disappointed in, that I couldn't get my questions answered when I wanted to. So yeah. Oh.
Before going through the process of
because then maybe I wouldn't have had to go through the whole process, or maybe they would have given me a spiel and told me everything was round and rosy, and I don't know. I wanted it to be so much more than it was, and that's really the disappointment in me. It has nothing to do with Treecat. It has everything to do with the fact that I just thought it was going to be a pump and dump type of thing. Pump in the items from eBay, dump them into Mercari and Posh, and I thought that's what we were paying for. And it turns out the delisting is really what you're paying for. It's a delister. I think that's really what
I think they've added other functionality to try to improve the value on it. I don't think that, from their perspective, I don't think that that's all that it is. But I certainly think that is the primary function and the primary benefit. If you do have your items on multiple platforms, you definitely want to avoid that risk.
Right.
If you're running a small store, I could definitely see this as being a good opportunity. So there's definitely options for the product. I don't want to dump on the product.
No, I just want it to be a realistic expectation for you going in.
Yeah, I definitely think that if you're running a small store, or if you're starting a store, that it may be the way to go.
Yeah.
For
I
us,
certainly have
at
fears.
12,000 items.
I have fears about trying to like, because right now I'm just putting them up, like just copying, pasting, and putting them on Posh, putting them on Mercari. It doesn't take any more time than it did when I was trying to use the Treecat. Again, I will say I am inexperienced, so I can't just zoom through a listing like I can on eBay. I certainly have concerns with keeping track of delisting the items.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my items, all of my items are on eBay, and I've got about 90 items on Posh and Mercari. So,
well, and when we started this out, we talked about maybe we just list exceptional pieces on other platforms, because maybe that's just all we do.
But then again, I have issues with that concept because most of the jewelry we sell is that $20 piece, you know?
Absolutely.
So if you only put up your most exceptional pieces, you're not even giving an opportunity for the meat and potatoes of the business.
That's real.
I don't know that we're any further ahead than we were last week when, you know, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was when we were talking about this.
Well, I think we're done with cross listers for right now. And I think we might be done with cross listing. So we'll have to see what happens moving forward.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot of extra work. Again,
is it
we're
worth
talking
it?
about unestablished
We've made
stores.
one sale on each platform. And on Posh, it was before we even tried to use a cross-lister platform.
We had one cross-listed sale.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's something that we'll continue to pursue. Again, that may be in part because we only had some, you know,
right, because we have new stores, or because we only had 90 items, or you know, it's hard saying the what ifs. But again, as a small business owner, we have to look at the big picture, and we have to say, is the input cost worth the output?
Right. So that's our experience. Very limited experience. Very high expectations.
Yes.
Unrealistically high expectations.
Yes.
So let us know. Do you use a cross-lister? What sites do you cross-list onto? What's your experience with that? Do you like the process? Do you have aspirations?
Is it, you know, are we just being completely unreasonable? That's possible. There's times in my life that I'm unreasonable. You know, I will admit that. So, all right. Well, yes, please let us know what your experiences are. And good luck to you out there.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Like and subscribe.
Thanks.